我觉得相处了1年的时间，我在现在才慢慢发现你身上的优点，还是很想跟你在一起。
不会同意，因为我觉得我给你的爱就像一颗苹果一样，你已经用刀子一点一点把这个苹果给切成2半，你觉得这个苹果还会愈合吗？
This is just outrageous. After getting married, the woman refused to share a bed with her husband and constantly made life difficult for the honest man at home, even demanding that he serve her by bringing foot-washing water. Yet she still wasn't satisfied. She looked down on him for being unambitious and decisively divorced him. After the divorce, the man worked hard and finally achieved great success. As soon as the ex-wife found out, she came back crying and begging for reconciliation. The man immediately hit back hard, saying, "Get lost as far as you can." A brutal slap of truth that completely humiliated her as he furiously exposed the shameful things she had done.
在一个漆黑的一个晚上下的一个暴雨，我是骑自行车，他是开着他自己的车。当时呢，就是由于车子坏了，所以说我就在路边，他看见了我们是正对面走的那种，然后他看见了我，他却把我当作空气一样忽视掉，直接过去了。
The young man with a displeased look in front of the camera is Xiao Dong. Sitting across from him is his ex-wife Jingjing and his former mother-in-law. When Xiao Dong started talking about what his ex-wife had done to him, his anger flared up instantly. That's because both his ex-wife and her mother looked down on him from the bottom of their hearts. There was one night, pouring rain again, when Xiao Dong was riding his bicycle home, and it broke down halfway. He had no choice but to stand on the roadside trying to figure something out. Coincidentally, his wife drove right past him. She saw him in that pitiful state and didn't stop at all, just stepped on the gas and sped off. Xiao Dong angrily pointed out, even if they weren't husband and wife, just as ordinary friends, she should have stopped to give him a lift. But instead, she heartlessly left him behind. That moment truly broke his heart. Jingjing quickly apologized after hearing his accusations, admitting she had been immature back then and hoped he could forgive her. But Xiao Dong was completely unmoved. At this point, the mother-in-law couldn't hold it in any longer and lashed out, claiming that a man as ungrateful as Xiao Dong wasn't worth her precious daughter's efforts to win him back. Then on the spot, she revealed what she believed to be her former son-in-law's true face. Looking at her once obedient and honest son-in-law now completely ignoring her daughter's pleas, the mother-in-law flew into a rage and angrily accused Xiao Dong of being a freeloader living off a woman. She claimed that buying a house and car was all thanks to their family. Xiao Dong was pushed to his breaking point. All his achievements, earned through hard work and step-by-step effort, were now described by his mother-in-law as undeserved. Furious, he confronted her directly. Being labeled ungrateful by his ex-mother-in-law completely infuriated him. He angrily refuted her claim that his current success was thanks to her daughter's family, stating firmly that he had already achieved quite a lot before marrying Jingjing. In contrast, after the marriage, his wife's behavior was utterly disgraceful. He then went on to expose the shameful things Jingjing had done during their time together. Jingjing panicked, and what her mother did next shocked everyone.
从那一刻起，我已经决定了，我一定要跟他离婚。那个时候是一开始的时候，我觉得可能是张晶是不习惯，他不愿意跟我就是一起就是圆房啊，或者说是一起睡觉，要分房睡嘛啊，而且他对我也是百般的挑剔，包括让我端洗脚水不做饭。然后当时我对他已经时间一长，你却变本加厉，你开始不回家，甚至我刚才已经提过了，在那个雨夜帮我当空气，就是一个普通朋友，如果是你是他好朋友的话，他也会看见你把你顺带回去，但是他没有。
With pain on his face, Xiao Dong said that before marriage, he treated his wife like a princess, and after marriage, he cared for her meticulously. But all he got in return was her walking all over him. She often stayed out late, hanging out who knows where. The most unbearable part was that she refused to share a bed with him. His mother had been eagerly hoping for a grandchild, but the wife kept making excuses to avoid intimacy, and eventually, they started sleeping in separate rooms. Xiaodong was utterly exhausted by all of it. At this moment, Xiaodong's mother also spoke up, sternly questioning, "What kind of wife refuses to share a bed with her legally wedded husband?" She then expressed her full support for her son's decision to divorce, just based on that fact alone. What the ex-mother-in-law said next left everyone speechless.
这种忘恩负义的男人还值得你留恋吗？在没结婚之前，张晶就跟你说过他不爱你，但是你一味着花言巧语的在讨好他。在结婚之前呢，晶晶就跟他说过他是不爱他的，他什么都可以承担。
对，可是你女儿答应了他，这才是个问题。
而且他还表示要愿意来照顾他，愿意跟他。
所以你的意思就是说他活该吗？你是这个意思吧？
After hearing Xiaodong's mother's criticism, the ex-mother-in-law arrogantly responded, "All of this was your son's own doing. Before the wedding, Xiaodong clearly said he was willing to do anything for my precious daughter. He kept flattering her and making her feel special. And my daughter never loved him to begin with. She only agreed to marry him because he was so attentive." Everyone present was outraged by this shameless statement from the ex-mother-in-law.
我觉得更直白的就是说，活该呀！他
其实那个，我觉得年轻人的事儿让年轻人自己来解决，
不是说热脸去贴别人冷屁股，真的是有限度的，你知道吗？
Seeing that everyone was turning on her, the ex-mother-in-law quickly fell silent. At that moment, Jingjing also realized that if the argument continued, her chances of getting back with her ex-husband would be gone. So she quickly dropped her arrogant attitude and, pitifully, turned to Xiaodong.
我觉得相处了1年的时间，我在现在才慢慢发现你身上的优点，还是很想跟你在一起。
不会同意，因为我觉得我给你的爱就像一颗苹果一样，你已经用刀子一点一点把这个苹果给切成2半，你觉得这个苹果还会愈合吗？
可是你不觉得，如果你这样一味的否定我，对我来说也很残忍吗？
我现在很幸福。
Jingjing expressed with deep emotion that it was her own fault for not cherishing him before. During their time apart after the divorce, she gradually realized how much she had gotten used to, and fallen in love with, Xiaodong. So today, she mustered the courage to propose getting back together, hoping Xiaodong would give her a chance to make things right. But Xiaodong remained completely unmoved. He said he had already been hurt too many times, and his heart had grown cold. Besides, he now had a new girlfriend and was living a happy life, and he didn't want to be disturbed again. Jingjing panicked completely when she heard this.
我现在真的知道错了，所以我想请你再给我一个机会，能够原谅我。不管你是跟现在的女朋友有多好，但我觉得我还是能一直的用我默默的付出来挽回你的心。
Seeing the man who once obeyed her every word now unmoved by her heartfelt confessions, Jingjing became flustered. She quickly spoke up, saying she had truly recognized her past ignorance and stubbornness. She swore she wasn't trying to get back together just because Xiaodong had become successful. She pleaded with him to consider the time they had spent as husband and wife and give their relationship another chance. She promised that if they got back together, she would cherish this late-blooming love and devote herself fully to him. Xiaodong listened to the woman he once loved deeply speak such emotional words. He was clearly touched and torn, struggling to decide. But in the end, he listened to his mother's advice and firmly rejected his ex-wife's request for reconciliation.
Xiaodong's story shows us that marriage is never about who's out of someone's league. It's about mutual respect and mutual support. In this relationship, he did start out on his knees, constantly pleasing and accommodating her, only to be met with contempt, humiliation, and even rejection of the most basic intimacy. When he finally woke up and walked away, working hard to create his own future, those who once looked down on him tried to return and rewrite the ending. Is Jingjing's remorse real or fake? We don't know. But one thing's for sure, she's not in love with the man. She's just regretting the loss of a stable backup plan. As for the mother-in-law, she keeps calling her former son-in-law ungrateful, but never once reflects on what she and her daughter did in the marriage. Some missed chances are fate, but some mistakes, you bring them upon yourself. In a relationship, the scariest thing isn't the fights. It's when one person gives their all and the other doesn't respond at all. When you give your best love to someone who doesn't appreciate it, all you get in return is a painful lesson. Thankfully, Xiaodong woke up in time. So what about you, watching this right now? Do you think Jingjing truly regrets her mistakes and wants to reconcile? Or is she just after something else? Do you support Xiaodong in moving on without looking back? Or do you believe in second chances? Leave your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.